I guess real quick, you're the first person I see dying. Which one like kind of stuck out to you? You're like, huh?
I think the hardest lesson, well, I guess lately I had to learn or realize is I capped my income, so I capped my value, so I capped my income.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess the education system tell me my worth for several years. I didn't think that just because I succeed in one environment, that was my only place that I could succeed in because I was successful in it. I realized that I can take those skills and take those relationships. It's like what you said before, you own, as a business owner, you own your relationships.
Yeah.
Well, you can decide to own your skills as well,
Hmm.
and you can decide to market those skills and package in a way that is marketable to other people and that will help other people. So I think that was a lesson that I had to learn in the last few months since joining Prosper and going through and everything. And of course, failure is essential success to success. I mean, I think we repeat that over and over, but when you're in it, it's like, eh. I wish I wasn't failing. But I'm so glad that I have people like you and Paris in my corner, speaking life into me and changing the way I think about failure. I just found another way that didn't work so that I can get to the way that does work, which in this season, I've been telling you guys like words of affirmation, things like that, that change, that put the right things into perspective is what I really need right now.
Well, I believe that you're doing great, even to go to work today to participate in that stuff. Yeah, really good. So thank you. I really appreciate you. I think that's one of the really important ones. The two that I really want to kind of harp on are the one that you said, and then also whatever we don't make a system for will cause us to be a part of someone else's system. But I guess I'll kind of just start at the top, and I think we'll kind of talk through most of these points. I'll try to keep them brief. Any feedback you guys have along the way, definitely just let me know. But I would say that I kind of put this in a way to where they kind of build off each other, where it says I kept my value, but why did we do that? Where did that come from? Like why did we think it was okay to cap our value? I'll say this: environment always wins. Nobody's immune to their environment. We are a product of the top five people we hang around. How we dress, how we talk, what we eat, how much money we have, how much success we have, the belief systems that we hold dear to us, and things like that. If you want to change some of those things, it'd be best to change some of the people that you hang around. And we were raised in a system that taught us that, well, for one, we were sold the education system for at least 13 years. While we are in school, not only were they educating us about um, math, reading, writing, and stuff like that, they were also saying that if you go to school and you get a college degree, you're going to be successful, whatever that means. But the people that were teaching us that, hey, we're educated ourselves. We know that. Are we? I don't want to talk down on myself, but am I super successful by the world standards? I help a lot of people, but I've helped a lot of students along the way. But when we look at the tangible things that someone would earmark as success, the people that were selling that to us, they were driving Toyota Corollas and not the nice one, not the Cross. They were driving,
I take no offense, Ian, don't worry.
and not that one, for sure, for sure. So we got to kind of examine our beliefs. And when I say, college trains us to be poor, let's think about how most of us lived in college. We went for 4 years, probably getting loans, not enough money to survive, having to call people and ask for money. We were trained to barely get by for 4 years. So then by the time we got out of college, we had so much pent up what is it called? Delayed gratification that we went and blew everything. I know for me, as soon as I got out of the first thing I bought was a brand new car before I even got my first paycheck. I bought a Subaru BRZ for $27,500. I had a car that was already paid off. I was living at home with my mom. My son is doing his nightly. I hurt myself. So anyway, but I put myself in immediate debt because I'd already trained myself to become in debt. Not only that, I went immediately back into school and I got my master's, so I stacked more debt on top of that, thinking, okay, because we're trained that a master's degree or higher education is the way to get success. But in all actuality, what ended up happening was I got my master's degree and the school district gave me a $500 raise per year. $500 rates. That means that's about, I think, $50 per month. I can't even get a tank of gas with that right now. So we have to, start to examine we got to not only examine what we're doing, what our actions are, but where do those actions come from? Our actions are going to come up from our beliefs, and our beliefs come from what we put in our mind. And what we put in our mind comes from the environment that we decide, that we choose, that we have. At least as an adult, we can choose our environment now. It might be a little difficult. You know what I'm saying? I get caught up in the basketball game. My thumb, flicks up sometimes, but we have to take a step outside of ourselves, even while we're doing those things that we don't want to do, but that we keep on getting ourselves caught up in, and examine what am I doing and where did this come from. The next one says all the fantasy that we read in school, it distorts the truth that we read now. This one might be a little bit harder to maybe kind of explain in secular terms, but just think about it. In school we read a lot about Ex McKenna. I forget, it's in the book The Slight Edge. He talks about quantum leaps. We read a lot about fantasy things that happen, so that when we actually hear what is true, we think that it sounds too good to be true. So we won't even jump and work towards something that we think can work, because we've been trained to believe that anything that sounds great is false. Anything that sounds like, oh man, I can actually do this, we're like, no, no, I can't do that, because that aligns with the fantasy that I read over there. So it must not be true. I can't attach that to my beliefs, because I already believe that's not true. That's something that happens in a fantasy world. And the next one, it says you don't have to participate in the job shortage. And that'll kind of lead me into the next one. I know a lot of educators are being laid off nowadays. And Myron Golden always says it this way. He says, there can be a recession in the economy, but I just choose not to participate. You can create your own economy, and that's what you're doing. So you don't have to participate. It's a choice. I know we think that we, have to. I'm not fully against jobs for sure, but I know that we've been trained to believe that we have to have a job. But let's examine what we're doing when we do have a job. If you have a job, you're trading your time for money. Which one's more important to you, time or money? So why am I trading something that's more important for something that's less important? There must be something wrong with this equation. Why am I paying for something that is a renewable resource, which is money? They can just print more, and we can always create more value with something that I'll never get back, which is my life and my time. The next part, whatever we don't make a system for, lead us to be a part of someone else's. That's true with any part of your life. Let's just think about your health. If you don't have a system to create good health in your life, you're automatically going to be a part of the healthcare system. Similar with education. If you don't have an education system for yourself, or you don't create one for you and your children, or whatever you do not create a system for, you're automatically going to be subject to someone else's system, especially finance, because that's the main way that people are controlled nowadays, besides just their attention in general. It's with finance. So you have to have a system for creating finances that doesn't align with the world's way, because we tried the world's way and the world's way didn't work for us. So we have to figure out, how can I create a system, which you're doing. You're definitely in the process of that. But I would challenge you to dive even deeper upon understanding what are you truly creating. Because yes, we're creating a business, we're going to do high ticket sales, we're going to make a bunch of money and things like that. But am I creating another job for myself? Am I creating something that's going to mimic what already is there? What am I creating? Any feedback on this barrage of words and things like that? I know that one of the ones that hit me the hardest was about the system things. I never thought about it like that. I'm like, oh, okay, I see why I kind of ended up like that. Oh, just to go back to the top, I was the guy. What I told my dad was, he actually just texted me a few minutes ago. He's about to start running an ad on Meta, a Facebook ad. I told him when I graduated from college, and I knew I was going to get into teaching. I knew I was going to be an educator. I have a lot of one half of my family are like all government employees, so I knew I wasn't going to make a ton of money. I told my dad I'll never be rich. I told him straight up, I'll never be rich. I feel like I paid for that tenfold, that statement, letting that come out of my lips. But why? What type of belief is that? Even if I didn't make a ton of money, I could still manage my money well and still become wealthy on a teacher's salary. That's possible too. But where did that belief come from? All right. The next one. Jobs are insecure because they have no control. Just a little bit of personal anecdote for me. I've been laid off twice in the last 3 years. I technically have a job that I can go to. They said I'm guaranteed a job in my school district, but it could be a random assignment. I'm good. The first time I was reassigned or whatever, it kind of actually led me to starting Prosper. What happened was got hired at the school that I'm at now, and I loved it. It was amazing. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing couple years. But we had three math teachers in the department I'm in. We were the only department with three teachers. So they decided to cut a math position. This is my first year at that campus. When they decided to cut a math position, I had three options. Yay, four options. I could go to another school, go get another job somewhere else, or I could change positions at the school I was at. I could either do I had a social studies certification already, or I could take the science test. I took the science test, I think like two, maybe three times. I kept failing about like 1 point. It's the only certification test I failed. Thank God I failed it. Long story short, well, not long story short. I ended up taking the social studies position. I'll get back to that. But I could have kept my math position. But what would have happened is there was another gal that had been at that campus for about 3 years, but she had less years in the district than me. So she would have actually lost her position and she would have been completely reassigned somewhere else. So instead of having her be completely reassigned, I took the pay cut. I went to social studies. So that was a $4,500 pay cut. I lost my stipend and I said, no biggie. I'll figure it out. Fast forward, that kind of birth prosper. But teaching is supposed to be a secure job. That's all we heard. Oh, you'll be able to do it until retirement. How secure is it really? I counted it one day. How secure can something be when there are 7 to 9 levels above me making decisions about what goes on in my classroom? How secure is that? Okay, let's say it is secure. Well, let's say there's security in it. Let's think about what is security and where are the most secure places on earth. The most secure place I know is prison. They have a place called maximum security. I don't know about you, but I don't want to have harm. I care about my family. You know what I'm saying? But I'd rather have freedom than security.